अचानक से लॉकडाउन लगा था, तो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज ये था कि ऑपरेशंस कैसे कंटिन्यू होगा। लॉकडाउन जब लगा तो उस समय सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम हुआ था कि गार्ड्स हमारे कैसे रिटेन होंगे यूनिट्स में। उस समय हम लोगों के सीनियर्स ने हम लोगों को गाइड किया। उस समय मैं भी ब्रांचेड पोजीशन पे ही था, नया चार्ज ही लिया था, 1 डेढ़ साल हुआ था ब्रांच का चार्ज लिए हुए। तो सीनियर्स हम लोगों को गाइड किए उस समय कि अपने गार्ड्स को जाके बात करिए यूनिट्स में कि ये ऐसा पेंडेमिक था और ऐसा एक तरीके से कोविड का इम्पैक्ट था कि हम जितना मूव करेंगे, यहाँ से वहाँ जाएंगे, जितना ट्रैवल करेंगे, उसमें भी हमको संभावना बन रहा है कि हम कोविड से ग्रसित हो जाएंगे। तो गार्ड्स को, बहुत से क्लाइंट्स ने भी गार्ड्स को अपने यूनिट्स में रहने की व्यवस्था करा दी थी। ये भी हम रिक्वेस्ट करवाए थे। कुछ जो गार्ड्स नियर बाई रहते थे, उन गार्ड्स को हम लोग ज़्यादातर कोशिश ये करते थे कि वो यूनिट्स में ही अपना रहने का व्यवस्था कर लें, और उनको खाने का व्यवस्था हम लोग उनको यूनिट में किया करते थे। और जो भी सेफ्टी गियर्स थे, मास्क वगैरह, ये सब सैनिटाइजर वगैरह, वो सब हम लोग यूनिट वाइज गार्ड्स को प्रोवाइड कराए थे, कुछ अपने कॉस्ट पे, कुछ क्लाइंट से भी बात कर। सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज ये था, जैसे हम लोगों का ब्रांच था गुड़गांव बॉर्डर पे, जो दिल्ली गुड़गांव, कुछ गार्ड्स दिल्ली में रहते थे, गुड़गांव में आकर नौकरी करते थे। तो वहाँ पे सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज कुछ दिन आया था, पुलिस रोकते थे बॉर्डर पार करने में, क्योंकि लॉकडाउन के चलते बॉर्डर सारे लॉक थे। तो वैसे सिचुएशन में गार्ड्स, बहुत से गार्ड्स हमारे ऐसे भी थे जो पुलिस के डंडे खा के भी ड्यूटी करने जाते थे। तो वो एक SIS स्पिरिट को दर्शाता है। गार्ड्स हमारे एक तरीके से डिवोटेड रहते हैं अपनी ड्यूटी के प्रति। वो हम लोगों को एक अलग फीलिंग आया था, और गार्ड्स के लिए हम लोग भी खड़े थे। और शायद उस समय एकमात्र SIS ऐसी एजेंसी थी जो कि रोड पे दिखी थी।
द माहौल तो बहुत ही खराब था, मतलब एवरीवेयर, मतलब द थिंग्स वर लाइक वेरी bad. Day on day basis, you are getting information about the death of persons. But still, SMC and SIS, they were on the front. They provide all the services, whatever, because we covered under the essential services. And all these services we provided up to date. All the staff, as per the requirement of the client, we provided. And the ground level staff was so dedicated. They provide the services up to the mark, and they got appreciation from the clients also.
ग्रेट प्लेस टू वर्क मीन्स, आप एक सीधी लाइन में अगर हम कहें तो वो जगह है जहाँ पे लोग काम करना पसंद करते हैं, या जो भी प्रोफेशनल्स हैं जो सिक्योरिटी इंडस्ट्री में काम कर रहे हैं, उनके चॉइस का एक जगह बनना। कि जितने भी सिक्योरिटी इंडस्ट्री के प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, उनकी एक इच्छा होती है कि मुझे SIS ग्रुप के साथ काम करना है। हम लोग मेनली इसके लिए जो काम करते हैं, वो काम करते हैं, हमारा जो रिक्रूटमेंट का सेटअप है, हम जो एम्प्लॉय वेलफेयर देखते हैं किसी भी इंडिविजुअल के साथ में, जो हमारे ग्राउंड स्टाफ उनके साथ कुछ इस तरह की घटनाएं होती हैं जिसमें उनके साथ कुछ हताहत हो जाता है, जान चली जाती है, तो ऐसे लोगों के सपोर्ट के लिए जो है मैनेजमेंट ने SIS एम्प्लॉय वेलफेयर, हमारा एक ट्रस्ट है, उसके द्वारा हम लोग इमीडिएट विदिन 24 आवर, एक वो टेन्योर से रिलेटेड है अमाउंट, हम लोग जो है 24 आवर में प्रोवाइड करवाते हैं, जिसका मिनिमम अमाउंट 1.5 लाख रुपीज़ है। उसके अलावा हम लोग 100% इंश्योर करते हैं कि जो यूनिट जहाँ पे 21,000 या फिर जो ESIC का जो सीलिंग है, उससे कम के जो लोग हैं उनको ESIC के बेनिफिट्स मिलें। जो ESIC में नहीं कवर है, उनके लिए हम लोगों ने मेडिकल फैसिलिटी भी ले रखी है थर्ड पार्टी के थ्रू। जो हमारे मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस प्रोवाइडर हैं, उनके थ्रू हम लोगों ने जो है सो मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस ले रखा है। उसके बाद जो हमारे नॉन बिलिंग एम्प्लॉई है, जो हमारे ऑफिस से रह करके ग्राउंड स्टाफ का देख रेख करते हैं, उनके लिए हम लोगों ने ग्रुप टर्म इंश्योरेंस ले रखा है, जो मिनिमम 25 लाख से शुरू होकर के 5 करोड़ तक का जो है इंश्योरेंस हम लोग जो है सो एम्प्लॉय को प्रोवाइड करते हैं। इसके अलावा ट्रांसफ़र की फैसिलिटी अवेलेबल है। इसमें दो ट्रांसफ़र फैसिलिटी दो तरीके से फ़ायदा करता है। एक तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि एम्प्लॉय को सडन ज़रूरत आ जाती है कि उनको अपने होम टाउन में होना पड़ता है। पॉसिबिलिटी कम होती है, लेकिन हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं कि अकोमोडेट हो जाएँ फॉर अ सर्टेन पीरियड, जब तक उनका वो काम, उनके माता-पिता का तबीयत स्वास्थ्य कुछ ऐसा है, उनके घर में कुछ इस तरह की घटनाएँ होंगी, तो हम लोग उस तरीके से प्रोवाइड करवाते हैं। तो ये सारी चीज़ें ओवरऑल मिलकर के जो है SIS को एक ग्रेट प्लेस टू वर्क बनाता है। कोविड पैंडेमिक का, जब कोविड आउटब्रेक के बाद, मार्च की बात है ये, मोदी जी ने अचानक से लॉकडाउन का घोषणा किया। लॉकडाउन की जब घोषणा हुई, तो उस समय में सबसे बड़ी चैलेंजेस हम लोगों के लिए आया कि जो हमारे ग्राउंड फोर्स थे, वो आखिर यूनिट तक जाएँगे कैसे? जो गवर्नमेंट के टॉप ऑफिस बियरर्स हैं, स्टेट के DGP, स्टेट के चीफ सेक्रेटरीज़, इवन चीफ मिनिस्टर, इन सब से हम लोगों ने बात किया। बात करने के बाद हमारे ग्रुप मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर सर ने जो है खुद बात किया उन्होंने, और तत्काल जो है सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज को जो है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने जो है एसेंशियल कैटेगरी में नोटिफाई कर दिया। इससे हम लोगों का मूवमेंट थोड़ा आसान हुआ, लेकिन इसके बाद हमारा जो है रियल चैलेंजेस शुरू हुआ। हमारा डिप्लॉयमेंट जिस अस्पताल में कोविड के लोगों का ट्रीटमेंट हो रहा था, वहाँ से लेकर के जहाँ पे वैक्सीन बन रहा था, वैक्सीन के ट्रायल्स हो रहे थे, जहाँ पे कोविड के पेशेंट्स का जो है सो बड़े-बड़े सेंटर्स बनाए गए थे, जहाँ पे सिर्फ डेडिकेटेड कोविड के पेशेंट्स के लिए वहाँ पे हमारा डिप्लॉयमेंट था। उसके बाद जो है सो हमारे भी लोग बीमार पड़ रहे थे, कई लोगों का अनफॉर्चुनेटली जो है सो डेथ भी हुआ। इन सारे चैलेंजेस को देखते हुए, इन सारे चैलेंजेस को फेस करते हुए भी हम लोग ग्राउंड पे बने रहे। हम लोगों ने इवन जो आईटी कंपनीज़ थे, जहाँ पे हमारा डिप्लॉयमेंट था, वहाँ पे जो लोग काम कर रहे थे, जिनका लैपटॉप समहाउ ऑफिस में छूट गया था या फिर कुछ एक उनके सर्वर से रिलेटेड या उनका कुछ और जो काम करने के उपकरण थे, जो उनके टूल थे, वो ऑफिसेज़ में रह गया था, जो एसेंशियल था काम करने के लिए। हम लोगों ने उन कंपनियों को भी सपोर्ट किया, बिकॉज़ हम लोग एसेंशियल सर्विस में थे, तो हमारा मूवमेंट था। तो हम लोगों ने हम पे इतनी ट्रस्ट थी उन कंपनीज़ का कि उन्होंने अपने एक्सेस कोड्स और सारी चीज़ें दे करके हमने आईटी कंपनीज़ के ऑफ़िस खोले, उनके सामान को उठा करके जो है उनके जो डेज़िग्नेटरीज़ थे जिनको वो यूज़ करना था, उनके घर तक ड्रॉप किया। इस दौरान हम लोगों ने अपने एम्प्लॉइज़ के लिए भी सपोर्ट एक चैनल शुरू किया था, एसआईएस हेल्थ केयर्स करके जो है सो, उसमें ऑक्सीजन्स, उसमें रेमडेसिविर और भी जो इम्पोर्टेंस दवाइयाँ थी, वो सब हम लोगों ने इंश्योर किया कि हमारे जो एम्प्लॉयी वर्कफ़ोर्स हैं, उनके जो फैमिली मेंबर्स हैं, हम लोगों ने एक ग्रुप तैयार किया स्टेट वाइज़। हर एक स्टेट में एक हम लोगों ने जो है सो इंडिविजुअल को रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दी कि वो स्टेट हेड कर रहे थे, हेल्थ केयर्स एंड और सारी चीज़ों को लेकर के। तो चैलेंजेस आई थी, लेकिन इस चैलेंज में एसआईएस बिखरा नहीं, एसआईएस निखर के सामने आया और हम लोगों ने उसमें बहुत अच्छा किया। कोविड के बाद हम लोगों का बिज़नेस थोड़ा डाउन हुआ, लेकिन हम लोगों ने तुरंत ही जो है वी शेप में जो है सो आपको एक मैनेजमेंट का जो असेसमेंट टूल होता है ना, बिज़नेस डाउन एंड अप का, वो वी शेप होता है कि जस्ट नीचे आओ, हम लोगों ने रिबाउंस किया। सो वी हैव सर्वाइव्ड। उस समय में भी एसआईएस ने अपने लोगों को प्रमोशन दिए, सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट दिया, सारी चीज़ें हुई। तो एसआईएस के लिए वो एक न्यू नॉर्मल। कई सारे स्टाफ होते हैं जिनको कि पीपी और अन्य जो सेफ्टी गियर्स थे वो यूज़ करना इम्पोर्टेंट था। तो मॉनिटरिंग उसका जो है बहुत एसेंशियल हो गया था, बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट हो गया था, बहुत चैलेंजिंग था। तो वो चैलेंजेस हम लोग कई बार फेस करते थे। हमारे जो सिक्योरिटी टीम मेंबर्स थे वो कई बार फेड अप हो जाते थे हैवी पीपीईज़ पहन करके। तो उसको मॉनिटर करना मेरे हिसाब से एक चैलेंजिंग फेज़ था। और उसके बाद बाकी और किसी तरह का चैलेंजेस इस वजह से नहीं आया। मैनेजमेंट कंप्लीटली जो है सो एसआईएस के जो ग्राउंड स्टाफ कोविड के दौरान काम कर रहे थे ग्राउंड्स में, उनके लिए एक डेडिकेटेड टीम तैयार की हुई थी, जिसकी वजह से बाकी चैलेंजेस हम लोगों ने फेस नहीं किया।
पहले एसआईएस जीटीओ की भर्ती निकली थी, उसमें मैं ज्वाइन पेपर में पढ़ के एसआईएस जीटीओ में भर्ती हुआ था और मेरी लखनऊ से ट्रेनिंग हुई थी। फिर लखनऊ से ट्रेनिंग करके फिर मुझे एसएमटी में ट्रांसफर कर दिया गया। जीटीओ एसआई 30 बैच जेएमडी सर हम लोग के साथ ट्रेनिंग में मिले थे और एसआईएस में जब मैं ज्वाइन किया एसएमटी में, गांव से निकल के मैंने बहुत अच्छे चीजें जो मैं देखा ही नहीं था। तो सबसे पहले मैं पेप्सिको कंपनी में गया, वहाँ चीज मैंने देखा। एसआईएस से मुझे इतनी नॉलेज हुई और एसएमटी से कि मैं जब दुनिया से बाहर निकल के देखा, मैं ज्वाइन किया तो हमारे लोग बोलते थे कि तुम सिक्योरिटी में ज्वाइन किए हो। मैंने कहा जी, लेकिन लोग एक एसआईएस में लोग जानते हैं कि सिक्योरिटी की नौकरी होती है, लेकिन उससे बाहर जब निकलते हैं तो सिक्योरिटी का मतलब कि बाहर आप निकलो, मैनेजर्स होते हैं, आप क्या करते हो उसके बारे में जानो, कंपनी कैसे चलती है। जैसे तो हमने बाहर जब निकला, मैं सुपरवाइज किया, पेप्सिको में काम किया, देखा कि काम को समझा कैसे काम होता है। फिर मैं दिल्ली आया, दिल्ली में चीजें देखा। मैं दिल्ली देखा इतनी बड़ी, मैंने कहा यार मैं कैसे देख पाऊंगा यहाँ पे, मन घबराया। फिर मैंने धीरे धीरे जब रोहिणी ब्रांच में शिफ्ट हुआ और मुझे अच्छा लगा, जब एसआईएस की जर्नी आगे बढ़ती गई, कंपनी का काम बिजनेस बढ़ता गया, मेरी मार्केट बढ़ती गई, तो बहुत अच्छा लगा मुझे। जेएमडी साहब भी पूरे मार्केट में उतर गई, किसी भी एम्प्लॉय, किसी भी पब्लिक को दिक्कत नहीं है। एसेंशियल सर्विस कोविड में हमने कार्य किया, पूरी दिल्ली में हम लोगों ने घूमा। उस समय पूरी दिल्ली खाली थी और हमारे एम्प्लॉइज जो भी थे एसेंशियल सर्विस, सिक्योरिटी, सब लोग लगे थे काम करने में।
I think the biggest challenge for me at the time was during COVID, where we couldn't get everyone together in the office post acquisition. So it was really hard to build a new culture with people not coming to the office and people always at home or on site. So it was quite challenging. And a lot of the SIS management team could not travel down to Singapore as well. However, I think one of the biggest advantages with SIS was they also understood the situation. They were really patient in the way they wanted to approach the transition, and they focused on retaining as many staff as possible. So it gave me a lot of leeway to express myself in terms of how I should find the best way to retain and to restructure the business moving forward?
Yeah, so obviously moving into a multinational organization always has its challenges, whether it's time zone differences, which is always a challenge, whether it's some of the cultural differences and workplace differences and adapting to those changes. That's definitely added some complexities. But it's also had great advantages with technology adoption and utilizing knowledge pools from the different regions, as well as capital resource in allocations across the group has been a real benefit of the acquisition.
Like everything else, it came quick. It came with a lot of questions. It came with a lot of people who were scared, and in not just our customers, but also our employees. So what was important for us was to get ahead of it quickly to ensure our staff were protected by vaccinations or by just reassuring of jobs, but also to look after our customers. And our customers are number one. And through the pandemic, and in Victoria, in Melbourne, where I'm from, we had the largest pandemic lockdown in Australia. We were locked down more times than Sydney, Queensland, or Western Australia. So we were probably a little bit worried at first, but after a while, after the second pandemic, we actually got into a rhythm. One thing we do well is we respond well. We respond exceptionally well. So we used our patrol vehicles to ensure that our customers' businesses were secure, that the refrigerations and all their technology was safe, because a lot of our customers are little shops as well. So we've got to make sure that they were protected. It was a time that we got through exceptionally well after we learnt our mistakes. And the learning by mistakes was to bring down the fear of what's next. At one stage, we're all going to die. But we had to reassure our staff and our customers that we're not. We're just going to do whatever we can to ensure we don't do that. It had a significant growth to our business because when people were locked at home, we had to drive and protect their business or put a security guard in their business. When they opened and business was open up slowly, we had to put security and loss prevention and mobile patrol officers to QR code, keep the distance, 1.5 meters. So we had a big growth. Unfortunately, we couldn't get staff. So we lost a lot of people who just didn't want to come back to work in the industry. We lost a lot of staff who were too scared to come out in the open. So we had to re-educate people that it was safe to do that as best we could. Sanitizer was hard to come by, but we improvised. We started using different types of alcoholic systems where you can wash your hands. But we had to reassure our staff. The most important thing is without them, we can't service the customers, and we want to ensure that they had their employment. During the pandemic, we did not stop paying one of our staff members. As a business, we committed that you were not going to be disadvantaged for something that you could not be in control of. And that was important to us because we wanted them to come back.
I was in Australia, in Western Australia at the start of the pandemic. It changed our lives at the time. We were fortunate enough to be able to secure some hotels for managed isolation. So while everyone else was affected by it, our business soared. We ended up doing a lot more work. During that time, I was also offered a role back in New Zealand. So the challenge for me was being able to leave Australia and travel to New Zealand during the COVID period. Western Australia was locked down very tightly. It was difficult to travel around. Likewise was New Zealand with the leadership group they had over there at the time.
Well, it's a challenge and an exciting challenge. Obviously, SIS is growing and growing fast, and that means obviously we need to adapt and grow fast as well. Obviously that pushes us as an organisation, but I think that makes us stronger. That constant push and that constant focus on targets and achieving those targets.
That is what, we have developed the application where it is we can we can raise our demand through the application only. So we have come up from the traditional emails format. We have developed and we have evolved ourselves. And now we are in a process of ordering the uniforms through the supply chain application, just like the other e-commerce website, Amazon, Flipkart, something like that. So we are almost doing the same thing in the new application.
कहीं ना कहीं टेक्नोलॉजी उस समय हम लोगों का MySIS हम लोगों का ऑलरेडी ऑन प्लेस था। अटेंडेंस जो रजिस्टर्स पे बनाना होता था वो नहीं बनता था, तो अपने मोबाइल से अटेंडेंस मार्क्स होते थे। तो उस कारण से टेक्नोलॉजी का इम्पोर्टेंस समझ में आया। उससे पहले हम लोग वर्चुअल मीटिंग्स शायद ना के बराबर था, वहाँ से वर्चुअल मीटिंग्स हम लोगों के लिए एक तरीके से हम लोगों के प्रोसेस में आ गया और यूज टू हो गए हम लोग वर्चुअल मीटिंग्स के। उससे पहले वर्चुअल मीटिंग्स ज़्यादा होती नहीं थी, तो ये चैलेंज आया तो एक नया रास्ता भी दिखाया। कहीं ना कहीं एक तरीके से शॉर्ट टाइम में सब लोगों को कनेक्ट हो जाना। इवन मैं अगर कोविड की याद करूं उस समय का, तो GMD सर मीटिंग अटेंड करते थे, हम लोगों के वैक्सीनेशन ड्राइव को ट्रैक करते थे। उस समय सबसे बड़ी बात होती थी कि कनेक्ट होने वाली बात, तो वो जो वेबएक्स के थ्रू हम लोगों का कॉल होता था और पैन इंडिया रिपोर्टिंग होती थी, तो कहीं ना कहीं टेक्नोलॉजी हम लोग पहले से डेवलप था, उस कारण से हम लोग सस्टेन कर पाए और अदर एजेंसियों से शायद इसीलिए हम लोग उस समय अलग दिखे थे।
At the same time, I would say technology is also evolving. Now AI plays very important part in terms of everything in our lives, in technology and everything. Recently, we have introduced AI in our technology in terms of alarms and monitoring. In AI, there are many features wherein we can detect, especially if I talk about the ATMs. In ATMs, if there are more than 3 persons, we immediately get an alert through AI system. If there is one person inside the ATM for more than 3 minutes, immediately we get alerts. In case if someone is coming with helmet in the ATM or if he's covering his face with the mask, in that scenario also we are getting alerts through AI module. Earlier, this part was not there. As of now, when technology is evolving, AI is contributing in every aspect of our lives. I would say AI would contribute more in our alarm monitoring system, and things would become easier for us. And at the same time, efficiency is also going to be increased.
It's the technology. I love when I look around this room today and throughout the other sessions that the technology of the dogs, the cars, the ATMs. We need to have more technology in Australia, and unless we go looking for it, we've got nothing to offer our customers. So I love the fact that we can partner with SIS and their solutions with Henderson's and P4G to bring an operational answer. Sometimes it's not just reporting. I mean, that's very beneficial, but it's also innovation. And you heard for some of the customers here today, everyone has spoken since I came out to speak to you, they all mention technology, innovation, reporting, but most important of all, the handshake. We're a handshake business. We need to be face forwarding. We need to sell ourselves. We're not selling a product. We're selling our trust. And what we've learned is that if you've got the products, that's great. But unless you can sell your honesty and integrity, they won't buy the products. As our IOPS, so we were very short on a reporting system that we had to certainly modify because it wasn't just one fit for everyone. The drone technology, so even just with SIS, but with MSS, they have a great drone technology. And it's also about the innovations of robotics. We have big areas that we have to patrol, and sometimes the robots that we see here, and we've got other ventures we're enjoying at the moment, replaces a person to a certain point, but it also makes the customer safety security better, but also gives them an opportunity to reduce costs. But in saying that, we're not here to take jobs away. We're just here to add value. So probably the biggest thing would be reporting on our frontline, IOPS, and the back of house, WFS, and all our financial systems that were a little bit crazy and now aligned.
Well, I think we've taken advantage of some of the development that SIS provides. For example, we're a big user of IOPS. We also use vProtect to do some of our after-hours support for our National Operations Centre. And as I said earlier, I think just being part of a larger organisation that has more infrastructure available, if we need something, we know that all we have to do is call home and we can get the support that we need.
I think the biggest impact in the MSS New South Wales team has been the introduction of IOPS.
We've rolled that out with our new Sydney Trains contract. And we're using that for sign-on, sign-off, reporting, incident management. And we've developed a portal for the client as well. So it makes a big difference and reduces that impact on paper reliance. So it's great.
I think in the talent development and recruitment, the main change was use of technology. So we are exploring ways, how do we use AI to streamline recruitment processes? How do we use AI to track the training and development of staff? So these things are ongoing.
Yeah, so it's definitely still an area and still a journey that we're going on together. Obviously, from a financial point of view, we're probably further along with the integration of Oracle Fusion and those type of systems. From an operational point of view, it's still fairly standalone in the way that operations are run. However, we are finding more and more synergies, whether it's through IOPS or other systems, to look to harmonise and to find commonality with the other entities in the group. Yeah, so there's a few. So I mentioned Oracle Fusion before. So we've adopted that as our ERP platform. We've also rolled out IOPS within a number of our customer sites, particularly around our loss prevention and some of our Amazon and some of our other big distribution center sites. So that's two of the systems. And also obviously looking along with MSS and with P4G at Workforce Solutions as a kind of integrated rostering solution across the group.
The great place to work is because we are having a close family bonding kind of a thing over here, in a professional arena where we work very professionally. But what I learned from SIS that apart from the being professional, you can work very closely also. You can work in a family knitted organization kind of a thing also, where you can share your problems in a professional at the same time with the emotional value.
ऑब्वियसली डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स तो है हमारे पास में, पैन इंडिया कंपनी है हमारी, आज के डेट में पूरे भारत में हमारा प्रेजेंस है। डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स को किसी भी कंपनी को अगर कंट्रोल करना होता है, हर एक कंपनी के अपने अलग इनिशिएटिव्स होते हैं। हमारे यहाँ जो हमारे टॉप लीडरशिप्स हैं उसमें आज के डेट में वेरिएशंस हैं, पूरे भारत के लोग हैं हमारे पास में, साउथ से भी लोग हैं, ईस्ट के लोग हैं, वेस्ट के लोग हैं, सेंट्रल लोग हैं, दिल्ली मध्य प्रदेश के लोग हैं जो टॉप लीडरशिप में हैं। उसके अलावा हमारा ट्रांसपेरेंट हायरिंग प्रोसेस है। एवरी स्टेट हैव देयर सेपरेट ट्रेनिंग सेंटर जहाँ से हम लोग रिक्रूटमेंट करते हैं लोगों का, उसमें कोई पार्शियलिटी नहीं है। कहीं के भी लोग, किसी भी कास्ट के, किसी भी क्रीड के, किसी भी धर्म को मानने वाले लोग SIS में भर्ती हो सकते हैं और सारे लोगों के लिए इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी है आगे बढ़ने के लिए। इसमें किसी भी तरीके का बायसनेस नहीं है। सबसे जो हमारा डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स कंट्रोल करने का जो मैकेनिज्म है हमारे पास में, वो है हमारे टॉप लीडरशिप। कोई भी इंडिविजुअल, यूनिट में काम करने वाला जेनेटर, यूनिट में काम करने वाला हमारा गार्ड, यूनिट में काम करने वाला हमारा कैश क्रू, कोई भी इंडिविजुअल डायरेक्ट GMD सर से बात कर सकता है। तो हमारा डाइवर्स वर्कफोर्स को कंट्रोल करने के लिए जो हमारे पास सबसे बड़ा जो मैकेनिज्म है वो हमारे टॉप मैनेजमेंट, हमारे GMD सर हैं, हमारे चेयरमैन सर हैं और जो हमारे टॉप लीडरशिप के लोग हैं वो ईजिली एक्सेसिबल हैं। किसी भी तरीके का कोई भी जो है ग्राउंड फोर्स को मैनेज करने में दिक्कत नहीं आती।
I think they're very strongly aligned with Southern Cross Protection, in fact. We are a people-first organisation, much like SIS, and we also value safety very highly, and we all want to make sure that we act with integrity. So I think there's a very strong alignment between SIS's values and Southern Cross Protection. It's probably something I've never experienced before. Joining SIS, you genuinely do feel part of the family. When we say that we are all family and that we put people first, I know that through ups and downs, if I need support, that there are going to be many people available to help me through difficult times. Exactly the sort of thing that happens when you're part of a broader family. And I think that's okay. We are very different cultures, and you don't necessarily have to force alignment between organisations if it's not necessary. We share a lot of values, and that's perfectly fine. And I think, importantly, we can learn from one another's cultures. They don't necessarily need to be aligned. We can take, the best of the culture that exists in SIS and the best of the culture that exists at Southern Cross Protection, and we can both learn from one another.
Yeah, look, I don't think we've seen a huge impact on our culture because our culture's always been about our people, and SIS has similar values. And we've seen that come through. We've been very transparent with the SIS senior management who come out and visit Australia. So they're very, the beauty is they allow us to run our business how we need to run our business, but they provide us guidance on best practice and those sorts of things. Yeah, look, I think as a company, we've adapted some of your cultures and we celebrate your special events within our business. So we'll have morning teas where we celebrate your cultural events, or we'll advertise it on our social networking. And we do a lot of that similar stuff with Australia around our Indigenous engagement and our male and female balance in the workplace. But the SIS culture has been very enlightening.
You know, they focused on retaining as many staff as possible. So it gave me a lot of leeway to express myself in terms of how I should find the best way to retain and to restructure the business moving forward. I think one of the biggest differences when SIS came on board was changing our goals to approaching more government and commercial clients. And previously, we were primarily a residential security business. So leveraging on some of the strengths and experiences from the SIS group, not just in India, but also in Australia and New Zealand, we were able to pitch our services to these clients. I would say not so much on operational procedures, but more on core values. I think now we are very aligned in terms of the employee-first culture, looking after our employees, creating a family-like environment to create success. So that's, I think, very much in line with what SIS is. I think the team has adapted quite well. Of course, at the start, it was a bit shaky because a lot of things were different, the way we did things in the past and the way we are doing things now with SIS. But over time, with a lot of patience, like I said, with a lot of mentorship and guidance from the head office, I think slowly they have understood the reasons why they do certain things. And now I think we are very much aligned. I think we've started on two fronts. One was some cultural exchanges from SIS India itself, where some of my staff had come last year to the conference as well and interacted with some of the local teams, interacted with some of the subject matter experts here, and we learned a lot. But ongoing, more importantly, I think we have increased our interactions within the SIS international group. So people from Australia potentially coming to Singapore, Henderson sending many of our staff to Australia, to MSS, XXP to learn from them. I think this is just started and it's going to continue ongoing in the future as well. I think one of the biggest value that Henderson had in the past was teamwork. I think they always emphasize on teamwork to get the results. So that's something we retain. We one more thing that we add on was about the people, right? So not just before we create the team, we need to create the individual people. We need to take care of them. We need to ensure that they feel like they are valued and appreciated in the company. So once that happens, and then the teamwork will come together. So I sort of married the values from the past and also from the ongoing SIS values as well.
Yeah, but I don't think we've seen a huge impact on our culture because our culture's always been about our people, and SIS has similar values. And we've seen that come through. We've been very transparent. The SIS senior management who come out to visit Australia, so they're very. The beauty is they allow us to run our business how we need to run our business, and they provide us guidance on best practice pros. Yeah, look, I think as a company, we've adapted some of your cultures that we celebrate your special events within our business. So we'll have morning teas where we celebrate your cultural events, or we'll advertise it on our social networking. And we do a lot of that similar stuff with Australia around our Indigenous engagement, our male and female balance in the workplace. The SIS culture has been very enlightening.
Yeah, so Southern Cross has always had a fairly entrepreneurial style. Since I guess our founder Pat Burke has started the business, he was quite an entrepreneurial leader, and so that culture definitely has been retained and been encouraged as well to be retained by the SIS group. So that's absolutely retained. But obviously now being part of the SIS group, that's also helped us to have some of that, I guess, a bit more rigor and a bit more controls within the operation. So it's a nice balance from a cultural point of view to have both those elements. Yeah, so obviously one of the big values for SIS is around people and safety. And so those two values obviously are fundamental to Southern Cross Perfection as well. And so through that shared value and shared philosophy of looking after our people, that has absolutely helped us as a business.
I think our values are very similar to SIS's. I don't know if they've changed or evolved since the acquisition happened many years ago. So MSS has 5 values: performance, people, customer service, integrity, attitude. And so when in anything that we do, we try and promote our values and put people first.
We haven't lost any values because our values were very simple. It was about trust. It was about integrity. It was about honesty. It was about employee safety. And those values, whilst they might have different names in different companies, it's all the same. The fact is the values that we put on ourselves as leaders, we must instill in our staff. And you can put posters up as much as you like, but unless they embrace, those values won't mean anything. So I'm very big on, and our business is very big on our people. Safety first is our number one value. Without being safe, you are causing a lot of issues for yourself and the customer, and they won't come to work. So we want to make sure you've got a safe workplace. You've got to have integrity. You've got to have honesty and transparency. If you make a mistake, let's work out how we fix it, how we learn from it, and how we make sure we don't do that again. It's a big family. The family values is so important. And look, it's just embraced now. When I come here to the conference, I stand still and people actually come over to talk to me. And that's fantastic. And they want to know. And, we get a couple of really good handshakes and, a couple of people give you a little hug and they want to know about you. But the most important thing is that every person that's here today has a family that they go home to. And when you come to work, you probably spend more time at work than you do at home sometimes. And you've got to get that right balance. But the family value of SIS, the family value of Henderson's, P4G, MSS, who we work very closely with, and Southern Cross Protection, they go hand in hand. We've got to be united in our values.
I do, in fact. I had a very positive memory. Surprisingly, last year in the group photo, I actually was sat alongside Mr. R.K. Sinha, and I'd only been with the organisation for about 6 weeks. And so that was very confronting, very overwhelming to be in the presence of such a great man so early in my career. And the thing I remember most is just how gentle RK was, how kind and how sincere.
Oh, yeah, he's very, very transparent. He's very direct, but he's very approachable, and he gives a lot of guidance when he comes out. And he always is very willing with his time. He'll come and share it with our workplace and make sure that our back of house teams get to meet him. So he's a great leader and very approachable.
Yeah, I was fortunate to have met him a few times, very briefly at the conference last year, as well as 1 or 2 times in the 7 years that I've been with the SIS group. So he's definitely an inspirational leader and mentor for the group. So it's great to have met him. Well, obviously, his opening remarks, I think from last year's conference was quite apt, and just to focus on the people. You look after your people, and your people will look after the business. That's a philosophy that I've stuck with me from last year's conference, and I think it's an important value and attribute that we all live with, and we all progress within the SIS group.
So I think he's very much collaborative, very intelligent, imparts knowledge, empowers his leaders or his direct reports to do what they need to do to achieve the goals that they need to.
So I met the chairman last year, first time when we were here at the last conference. Had an opportunity to speak with him, which was fantastic. We also talked about him coming to New Zealand, and we hope that he'll still be able to one day.
we over in Australia, we're only a very small part of the SIS organisation, and we will do our part to grow ourselves. But I think as SIS continues to grow, we'll all benefit from everybody else growing together. Thank you for your support. It's very much appreciated.
So I suppose it's about growth and technology. If we don't move with technology, then we're going to be fall behind our competitors. So it's really critical that we embrace technology, especially what you're rolling out over here. We need to be bringing a lot of that across to Australia. So
I think the longer-term vision for Henderson in SIS Group is to definitely be a leader in security in Singapore. And number two, probably to expand to see whether we can go further into the region, into the Southeast Asian region. Number three is to probably extend a few more complementary services like our technician services, our concierge services, to try our best to address more and more of the client's needs. I think in the next 5 years, we will be a very tech-driven business, both on-site and also within the organization. We'll be really measured in the way we do things, and we'll be really tracked closely with technology. So I would say using data derived from these systems to really push forward into our new territories.
Yeah, look, we want to continue to grow, support the business, and be a vital part of that team.
Yeah, look, we're always looking. Obviously, as I said before, the business is always looking at acquisition opportunities. As Murali, the SIS International CEO, was sharing this morning, we're absolutely looking at other opportunities in Southeast Asia, in the Middle East, as well as within Australia and New Zealand. So it's an exciting time for the international business. So obviously to grow with the organisation as the organisation grows, to continue to learn. There's an endless bounds of learning that happens with the organisation, and just to focus on that technology and innovation part of the business.
I see them evolving with technology and doing blended services. So not just manpower, but also complementing people with the technology to provide solutions for our clients and customers.
It's got to be a 5-year plan. We've got to be all committed. We've all got to be on the same page. And no matter what country you're in, you've got to be part of that train journey. You've all got to get on board and make sure the wheels are turning at the same time. So we must keep ahead of technology. We must keep ahead of innovation. We must keep ahead of people and culture, family values, safety values, and everything that makes sure that an employee wants to be with you. The average employee at Southern Cross Protection is 9 to 10 years for the full-time people. And that's because we're an employer of choice, and we want to make sure that we offer that continuously. But we also need to work closely with MSS, Henderson's, and P4G and SIS and all the different business models to ensure that we can tap into those to bring the best back to our customer for a profit. And at the end of the day, we need to get the money up there, and we need to get the EBITDA for all our shareholders.
जो सिन्हा साहब ने बनाई, ये नया कॉन्सेप्ट था और फिर ट्रेनिंग भी शुरू हो गया। आज तक किसी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसी का ट्रेनिंग सेंटर का कॉन्सेप्ट था ही नहीं। ये चीज जब बाद में SIS बढ़ने लगा तो बाहर से भी हमारे लोग जो आते थे फॉरेन कंट्रीज से, उनके लिए भी नई बात थी।